Oh, welcome back to the two-headed hero Battle Royale! We've corralled these Royales and pitted 100 of the finest in a no-holds-barred tournament of death. I'm Roland Kunz, here today with my conjoined commentator, BAWSS.
The match is really starting to heat up, and we're down to our last few competitors.
Let's Battle Royale! Welcome to the special two-headed hero 200 subscribaganza. For those of you that have been living in a forgotten Amazonian tribe, Battle Royale games all have a similar core concept. A horde of players duking it out on a large mass of ever-dwindling territory, scavenging weapons and gear while blasting each other to bits in order to be the last player standing for the ultimate in bragging rights.
We're not going to bother trampling over the well-worn territory of the familiar faces of Battle Royale today, however. No, dear viewers, this special 200 subscriber episode of Backlog Quest is devoted solely to those unsung underdogs that ride their coattails, the outcasts, the Me Too's, the games that may not necessarily break new ground but attempt to flavor this emerging genre with their own special blends of herbs and spices.
Thanks again to all you new subscribers watching out there, and another extra special thanks goes out to 98DMag for our bump on his channel. So let's get ready to Battle Royale!
Right now, we're following Cuisine Royale. Coming straight out of Latvia, Darkflow Software's Cuisine Royale attempts to add a touch of whimsical humor to the Battle Royale formula. The developers admit to making this free-to-play, early access title as an April Fool's joke to spin off their upcoming World War II shooter MMO, Enlisted, and the goofy trailer on the game's store page clearly attests to this. The game equips players only with a cooking knife to defend themselves and a fancy pair of boxer shorts to cover their behinds before unceremoniously dumping them into 30-man fights for survival on what appears to be a vibrant slice of World War II-era French countryside.
You know what the funniest thing about Europe is? It's the little differences.
Example.
Alright, well you can walk into a movie theater in Amsterdam and buy a beer. And you know what they call battlegrounds in Paris?
They don't call it a battlegrounds? Then what do they call it?
Battle Royale with cheese.
Battle Royale with cheese. What do they call a Big Mac? Matchmaking takes very little time. A refreshing change from the long lobby waits of other Battle Royales. Exchanging strategic skydiving for the instant action of random player spawns was a lateral move, but there were some occasions where teammates ended up spawning across the map from each other, spoiling our souffle from the start.
While sporting standard fare weaponry for the era, Cuisine Royale shakes up its loadouts with whimsical pots, pans, woks, and waffle irons that players can find and wear as body protection. The copious amount of food items in the game are the substitute for first aid kits and have colorful names. Clever wearables act as power-ups such as Cuban cigars that increase toughness, or shopping bags that hang from your weapon to provide more inventory space.
Several quality of life changes stand out. The game has hit markers and damage indicators similar to Call of Duty, making it easier to know both when you're dealing damage and from where you take hits. Indicators point out the distance and locations of your allies rather than making players rely on the map alone. Combined with the lower player count and a hefty amount of time to kill, Cuisine Royale's short encounters have a flavor all their own. Despite running into the occasional glitch or broken level geometry, the game has a pretty cohesive look. Performance and frame rate was consistent, and the game seems fairly scalable to older machines.
There are a few issues with Cuisine Royale that really crumble my crackers. The first and third person movement does feel a little floaty, as if your character retains a bit of momentum even after a movement key is released. On the whole, shooting feels good. However, weapon recoil and climb seem to need some tuning, making some guns much more controllable than they first appear, and the large spread on certain weapons such as the shotguns make them impractical.
Oh, what a misstep! Cuisine Royale has stealthily installed the Gaijin.net update agent. While having an updater running behind the game isn't a huge deal in and of itself, we didn't recall agreeing separately to installing an update client that constantly runs in the background. This malware-esque miscalculation could be off-putting to unaware players.
Issues aside, I did have fun with Cuisine Royale's down-home recipe, and the price is definitely right for anyone that wants to try their hand in its kitchen. I give it a mild nod of my cheddar, at least until it takes some time to mature and sharpen on up.
And Cuisine Royale's doing its best to skulk around, blending in with the scenery.
Oh! Looks like Cuisine Royale's been mistaken for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and taken out by a competitor.
Who is this mysterious newcomer?
It's Realm Royale.
Realm Royale recently airdropped into the ever-growing Battle Royale arena. Developed by Hi-Rez, Realm is an 85-player free-to-play fantasy steampunk free-for-all that takes place within the same setting as their 2016 free-to-play hero shooter, Paladins. Visually cribbing from equal parts of Fortnite and World of Warcraft, this game melts together a fondue of lighthearted, brightly colored gunplay and swordsmanship with an array of cooldown abilities, magic, and crafting. Players in Realm Royale choose from 5 different classes, each with their own passive skills, movement abilities, signature weapons, and equipment restrictions. This, along with a crafting system, tiered loot, cooldowns, and suddenly summoned mounts, round out the heavy nods to MMOs and MOBAs.
One adorable change-up is how Realm handles player deaths. Upon hitting 0 health, you are turned into a fragile chicken creature. Surviving for 30 seconds as a chicken changes you back to a hero, retaining your gear. A neat spin on knockdowns.
Looting this game's vast map yields equipment of varying quality, arranged from common to legendary as standardized in World of Warcraft and Fortnite. Unwanted items can be converted into shards, which are required to craft the best items at forges, but forges also must be defended for a full minute until the item is complete. This crafting mechanic gives Realm Royale a scattering of focused conflicts across the map, and somewhat mitigates the lulls in most battle royales that occur between a match's frantic beginning and tense ending.
Realm Royale is unfortunately a game full of butts. Realm's attempt to mix the cooldown-based abilities of an MMO or action RPG into the framework of battle royales is ambitious, but having to loot abilities in the field rather than start with them feels somewhat of a half measure, and cooldowns are very long. There is a pretty decent amount of weapon variety, but the firearms lack much in the way of hit feedback due to the damage sponge nature of players. Forges indicate where players are going to congregate in advance, but that often means camping runs rampant. The game is currently available as a free-to-play alpha, but Hi-Rez has gotten right to work with adding microtransactions. The first pack currently available has only a handful of cosmetics and costs $15. A hefty price for the content provided when the game still feels fairly unfinished. As it stands currently, I can't help but apprehensively give Realm Royale a lingering lean of my limber.
Realm Royale's doing a great job of mimicking the style of its strongest opponent, but will that be enough to take home that chicken dinner today?
No! Realm Royale's been dispatched while on cooldown. Its killer seems to be doing a wobbly-armed version of the floss dance in Celebration. It's totally accurate Battlegrounds out of nowhere! Taking absurdity one step further, Landfall's totally accurate Battlegrounds eschews realism entirely in favor of charming, low-poly graphics and physics-based combat. After randomizing clothing at the menu and queuing up solo or with buddies, up to 50 players basically take control of one of these, spawn in on a chain of flying semi-trailers, and cannon themselves into the map full force.
Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, or Tab G for short, challenges its players by rooting the game's combat within its wibbledy-wobbledy balloon man physics. It's fully possible to close the gap and get around a player's weapon muzzle, making melee attacks viable and shorter weapons favored in closed spaces. Moving and jumping while firing sprays bullets haphazardly, as your guns seem to be only tenuously grasped by your feeble balloon arms. Successful weapon use requires much more consideration.
And consider them you must. Joining a hefty list of expected rifles, pistols, shotguns, and SMGs are electric crossbows, miniature cannons, black powder weapons, swords, shields, katanas, and an insane range of grenades. Watching the wobbly player models belly flop under fire and get ragdolled about by bullet impacts can bring a grin to the face of the most stoic Battle Royale fan. Tab G playfully tweaks the nose of the Battle Royale genre while giving a knowing wink and nod to shooter fans. Tab G is Battle Royale by way of QWOP, or Human Fall Flat. And it's got a beatboxing button.
The circle itself even functions in a novel way. Monoliths slowly fall from the sky, creating walls around the zone that press inwards as they consume the playable area, clipping the map ever smaller until it is consumed in the endgame. Being locked outside the zone here is an instant loss, making the rush to safety even more frantic.
Along with the merriment comes an unfortunate host of issues. Server problems, performance issues, cheating, and bugs are still pretty rampant, and despite the 3 million downloads for the game, it seems that the joke has gotten old for many players. Player counts are the lifeblood for multiplayer-only games, and concurrent players have dropped from near 30,000 at release down to about 2,000 over the course of the last month. Landfall has recently implemented anti-cheat measures and consistently updates, so I remain optimistic that Tab G can and will still improve if the player base sticks around. I give it a wibbly wave of my wobbly mozzarella and hope that the game continues to expand.
Totally Accurate Battlegrounds is looking strong here. Its wild gesticulations seem to be serving it well.
But wait, what's this?
Oh! Ambushed by a competitor out of nowhere. I didn't even see where that came from.
Looks like it was Survive.io, hiding in plain sight. Easy enough when you lack a third dimension. Here comes a final challenger, the free browser-based top-down shooter-looter Survive.io. Distilling the Battle Royale down to its most basic form with Spartan graphics and sound effects, Survive.io offers a fully featured Battle Royale experience that removes the third dimension. While we were unable to find solid numbers on a maximum player count, matches tended to be around 80 players. Similar to Cuisine Royale, readying up dumps you unceremoniously into the middle of the action, where the mad dash for gear and glory begins.
Survival in, Survive.io has some significant differences to its contemporaries. Looting is a dice roll. Most of the items are located within crates on the field that must be smashed open, creating noises that can give away your position. Since shooting is restricted to only 2 dimensions, blind fire becomes a valid strategy. Players can also take cover under trees and bushes, effectively concealing them unless someone stumbles onto your same patch of cover or destroys it. While I felt this mix of ambushing, blind fire, and cover enabled a lower skill floor from the outset, success often seemed to come down more to using the environment effectively and dumb luck rather than good shooting skills alone.
Survive.io takes me back to a simpler time of browser-based flash games or grassroots LAN titles. Its MS Paint aesthetic is effective, and does a great job abstracting all of the traditional Battle Royale tropes into top-down 2D, creating a totally different experience. Its intuitive emoji-based communication, integrated squads, official Discord support, leaderboards, and unlockables all round out the feature list and lead to my giving Survive.io a hearty saluta my Gouda. Survive.io is holding its own. That circle's getting pretty small. I can almost cut the tension with a cheese knife.
And we're down to our last few competitors.
Survive.io posting up in a defensible position.
Oh! Survive.io run down by the Fortnite and PUBG bandwagon.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I kinda figured. At least we earned a loot crate.
Ooh, yeah. Let me just crack this thing open and...
Oh my god, no, it's just filled with more battle royales! Say Battle Royale again. Say Battle Royale again. I dare you. I double dare you.
Go on!
Battle Royale?